You will hear a lot from Senate Democrats, from House Democrats about the fact that American health care policy is broken. So if they want to talk about how to fix American health care policy, let's do it. And the fact that they refuse to do that shows how unreasonable their position is. I think we're headed to a shutdown because the Democrats won't do the right thing. I hope they change their mind.
All right, there's VP J.D. Vance signaling the government will likely shut down tonight, just after midnight, as Democrats are refusing to support the Republicans' continuing resolution without adding hundreds of billions of additional health care spending. The Senate will vote today on the House-passed bill, keeping government funded until November. The upper chamber, however, rejecting plans from both Republicans and Democrats earlier this month. Joining me now is Oklahoma Senator James Lankford. Senator, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. How do you think this plays out?
Tough to be able to tell at this point in the day, but I would tell you we're going to have the Democrat proposal and then the proposal that's already passed the House that'll actually keep the government open for 7 more weeks, just status quo, just where we are, no changes on it. That we're open to bring up and just have Democrats vote on that. That's happened 13 times in the last 4 years that we've gotten to a moment like this. We just did an extension of current year funding under Republican and Democrat leadership. For some reason, the Democrats this time have decided, you know what, I don't want to keep it open at current year funding. I want $1 trillion more in spending to be able to just keep it open for a few weeks. We've said, obviously, that's ridiculous, and we're not sure why the Democrats are so eager to have a big shutdown fight. We assume this is just a play to their liberal base to show they're fighting Trump, but what they're doing is really hurting the American people and the nation.
Yeah, and, you know, it's not all Democrats. Some Democrats understand that. I spoke with John Fetterman from Pennsylvania Sunday. Here's what he told me. Watch.
It is always, always wrong to shut our government down. That is a core responsibility. I'm always going to vote against those things. And if it's the Republican side or now it's our side, especially with the kinds of chaos that we are facing after Kirk, and now there's a Cat 5 storm that might hit our nation too. Now, and you're willing to threaten us down. I was the only Democrat voting against that. And now that CR was the same CR from the Biden administration as well too.
Right.
For me, I'm a big believer of if you want to change the policies, win elections. And that's really the way democracy works.
So, I mean, Senator, if it's the same CR that was there under the Biden administration, it looks to me like the Democrats just want to fight Trump. No matter what happens, whatever Trump says, they want to get on the other side.
Yeah, it seems that way. Back in March, a few Democrats joined the Republicans just to be able to keep the government open. Their far left base just pounded on them politically and said it's a terrible thing to do. We want you to fight Trump at every stage. And so now literally the same thing is up again to say, let's just keep it open. Let's keep the conversation going. There's 12 appropriation bills that have to be done. 3 of them we've got pretty good agreement on. 9 of them we're getting closer on. In the next 7 weeks, we could finish this up and actually do the appropriations process the right way on it. So this little barrier to be able to get through the next 7 weeks, we feel like would give us enough time to be able to finish things up and to be able to have those bipartisan conversations that they're talking about. But they're just determined that they're going to show they're fighting Trump on it, where they're actually hurting the American people. Unbelievable.
What time is the vote?
Well, we'll have several votes today on it. It'll be this afternoon, probably mid-afternoon time period, and we'll pull up both votes on it. Again, their $1 trillion demand, and ours just stay open for 7 more weeks, keep negotiating.
And how would you assess the layoffs to come? I mean, the White House has been warning of government layoffs if, in fact, we do see a shutdown. How significant will they be? Will they be permanent?
Yeah, hard to tell at this point. Russ Vought and the Office of Management and Budget have said as each agency determines who's an essential and who's non-essential, they want to be able to look at the non-essential list and say if you're non-essential for a government shutdown, maybe you're non-essential long-term as well, and to be able to start doing some long-term layoffs. So whether that happens during the shutdown or immediately after the shutdown, that's still yet to be determined.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense to me. I mean, look, Senator, you reintroduced the Prevent Government Shutdowns Act of 2025, which, of course, aims to prevent further shutdowns by requiring Congress to stay in Washington until the budget work is complete. Do you think you can get that across the finish line?
I hope to do this every year. We've gotten really close to it, and then suddenly it's fallen apart at the very end on this. This is a very easy way to be able to solve this. The bill itself just says we'll have a continuing resolution if we get to this point, but we can't move to other legislation We have to work on our appropriations work, and we're in session 7 days a week until we actually get it solved. This is the equivalent of a mom saying to two boys, you guys are fighting in the living room, go over to your room and fight this out. When you're done, solve it and come out to the rest of the house. It's a pretty straightforward way to be able to do this, to hold the American people harmless, but put Congress in the box to say, fight out the budget issues. There are real issues. We have $2 trillion in overspending this year, so there are real issues we should talk about, but let's talk about them in Congress and not have federal workers and the American people have to suffer through this.
Senator, I got to get your take on China because this story really blows my mind. The Philadelphia Office of Immigrant Affairs is expected to raise the Chinese flag in front of City Hall to celebrate the establishment of the Chinese Communist Party in Philadelphia. The event is sponsored by the Pennsylvania United Chinese Coalition, Senator. Your reaction to raising the Chinese flag in Philly?
Yeah, I saw that story as well. This is twice that they've already done it. During the first Trump administration, they decided they were going to, I guess, poke President Trump in the eye by celebrating communism. They're now doing it again, literally in the birthplace of our republic, where the Declaration of Independence is signed and the Constitution is formed. They're celebrating the oppression of over 1 billion people in China. It's just unbelievable to me. I mean, for the Chinese people that are living in Philadelphia, those folks have fled from communism. They fled from the oppression that's there. And now for someone in Philadelphia to go celebrate that oppression, I think is a stick in the eye of the people that have fled from China. And I think it's also a stick in the eye to the entire country to say the birthplace of freedom is now going to celebrate totalitarian oppression. That's
unbelievable. I mean, are the Chinese in charge there in Philadelphia? Is that why this is happening? I mean, who would make such a decision?
I would tell you the immigration officer there is the one that's actually celebrating communism there and their own city hall and their own leaders. But that tells you where the leadership of Philadelphia is, that they would identify communism as something they would put up in front of the people of Philadelphia to celebrate.
Unbelievable. Tiana, jump in.
I'm curious not only about the pernicious Chinese influence, the fact that you have President Trump coming back, trying to stave off our European allies from welcoming Beijing, our allies overseas. You know, I know you are from a state that will be impacted by some of the agricultural tensions, with specifically China not wanting to buy, American soybeans and all of that. How has the Senate been able to intervene, how China's tried to play the tariffs with regards to agricultural trade?
Yeah, the trade with China is something that we're going to do. I mean, this is a nation that we've got to be attentive to, but it's also 1 billion people. We're going to have some market interaction with them. But we've got to also be exceptionally careful, and we haven't been historically. This is something that President Trump has raised over and over and over again. The Senate, myself and others have raised over and over and over again. We have pharmaceuticals coming out of China that we're exposed to, rare earth minerals that we're exposed to. If they cut off rare earths, if they cut off pharmaceuticals coming into the United States from China, we're in trouble here in our basic economy. You cannot have your food, your medicine, your energy be dependent on any one source, or they could cut that off and they actually control you. So we've got to find other sources and to be able to change some of our logistics. A lot of the tariffs that President Trump put in place in the first administration were focused on pushing companies to be able to find our alternative sources for a lot of our essential items besides China, so that communist country could not control us on a day-to-day basis. That is still ongoing work at this point, and the president's been very clear. Hey, China, we're going to trade with you. We want to be able to trade with you, but we also want to do it eyes wide open and make sure that we're not vulnerable.
All right, we will leave it there. Lots to talk about this morning with you, Senator. We so appreciate your time and your work. We'll be watching for a shutdown later. James Lankford. Thanks, sir. Quick break,
Good to
and
see
then
you.